American-Israeli hostage Keith Siegel was just recently released from after 500 days of captivity. He told the press, I was watching the interview, how he began to say the Shema every day. He was not raised in religious observance, and he said that he thought back to his childhood, remembered only one blessing, and it's the bracha of hamotzi that you say before you eat bread. And so when the Hamas terrorists would give him some pita, he would make the hamotzi. And then later, when he was being guarded by one of the Hamas terrorists, and some of the TV was on, and an Israeli show came on very quickly, he saw there was a cooking show going on. Somebody made the blessing of mizonot, the bracha you make before having a cookie or a piece of cake. So he started incorporating mizonot every time he was given such a food. And when he was just released, they asked him, what kind of meal can we make you? As one of his family members wanted to cook him something, he said, honestly, if you could get me a kippah and a kiddush cup, that's what I would really love. It's unbelievable. 22-year-old Omer Shem Tov, when he was kidnapped from the Nova Festival, he began observing Shabbat in captivity. He was never Sabbath observant before. He made kiddush every Friday night. He said that when they would bring sometimes grape juice during the week, he would put it aside and leave it for Friday night. When they would bring pretzels, he would take the salt off the pretzel and save it for Shabbat. And he would take a piece of toilet paper on every Friday night, put it on his head, and he would make kiddush. Unbelievable. I mentioned also Agam Berger. She had the chutzpah to ask a Hamas guard if she could get a Jewish prayer book. He laughed at her, but then found one and just threw it at her. And that's what kept her going until she was finally released. Daniella Gilboa taught herself how to sing the Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem in Arabic, because her captors would not let her say it in Hebrew. So she taught herself, and other hostages did this too, taught themselves how to sing the Shalom Aleichem in Arabic so they could still keep the Shabbos. How is it that individuals, and there's so many other these kinds of stories, it's unbelievable how these individuals who were not raised observant. The Baal Tanya writes this, that when Jews who were not necessarily learned or observant were faced with a choice during the Inquisition to convert to Catholicism or to meet death, some of them chose martyrdom. Where does that come from? The Pintele Yid, this part of us that's this inexplicable part of who we are, just emerges under these extreme circumstances. In this week's Parsha, the Torah tells us, V'asu li mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham. God commands the Jewish people through Moshe, make for me a mikdash, make for me a sanctuary, so I can dwell among you. Hashem says, if you live the kind of life, if you create holiness, if you reflect some of my spirituality in dark places, on physical earth, in a Hamas tunnel, then I'm going to make my home with you. Torah doesn't say that if you make me a sanctuary, I'll go into the sanctuary. The Torah says, God commands, make me for a sanctuary so I can be with you. When we observe Hashem's mitzvos and when we bring Hashem's light to places of terrible darkness, or places where it seems like it's just so physically based and there's nothing noble or spiritual, we are demonstrating that we are committed to Hashem's mission of being a light amongst the nations, of reflecting God's godliness and holiness in an otherwise mundane and physical world. To be Jewish means that we have this spark within us, and we're seeing it now with our brothers and sisters coming out of captivity. What kept them going wasn't just faith, it was that they were attaching themselves to authentic Torah and to Judaism. And we, those of us living in freedom, who can make a bracha whenever we want, we don't have to put a piece of toilet paper on our heads to make the kiddush. We can use a proper kippah. This teaches us how much we should value and how much it really means as Jews to observe the mitzvot. It truly expresses who we really are in the deepest parts of who we are. Greatest zechut that we can have is listening to these stories of these great heroes of our people who have come out of these terrible circumstances only to proclaim that they are Jewish. Let us who are living in freedom continue to proclaim our Judaism, our Torah, our mitzvos, our blessings, our kiddush, because we have to do what they did, which is to bring Hashem where he isn't. Shabbat Shalom.
Hey, please like and subscribe so we can get these really important videos out to a larger audience. Thank you.